All right, Chapter 3.
Other things I would just say, sort of listening to the general direction, it sounds like we know, or we'll find out shortly whether we've been successful in satisfying people's concerns about the one-year water transfers or not. We have two different suggestions about language, one of which may work. We'll go back and look at this. Nothing I have heard anyone say about the emphasis on our role in performance management, or making sure we're including all the agencies, or talking more carefully about some additional roles that interagency coordinating council could play. Nothing I've heard about that, to me, sounds like something we couldn't do within the context of the draft we have now. I think they're all things that we had anticipated. The coordinating council in general is a thing that, in part, I guess my own sense was it needs to find its own legs, too. We need to have some expectations about it, but we're going to get 15, 20 people from different agencies together in a room, and they're going to find their own way. The clearer an explanation we have of the many ways that they can be most effective would be helpful, but we can't expect we can write down in a plan what that committee is going to do and have it function perfectly that way at the end of 18 months. It will be a process of learning about it, and certainly in terms of amending the plan, there will be amendments that are going to come to us at the pace at which they do, in part, no matter what we start. We've got a flood plan that's been done, and that may lead to amendments, and the BDCP will come in, and so that may lead to amendments. Okay. And so there'll be a variety of things that lead to amendments sooner than 5 years.
Randy.
Dan, did you finish with your review of what you heard?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to piggyback on your comments then. In regards to the Interagency Implementation Committee, I think it looks to me like that's going to be a work in progress. And that committee is going to coalesce around issues. And depending on the issue will depend on how they address it and what members of that agency are responsible. I think that goes to Felicia's recommendation, and I really like adding a list of all the actions that the Delta Plan is calling out, as I think that, in effect, becomes the basis for the report card for the management, the performance management that Charles was asking for. And if it's not adequately expressed in the narrative for someone who's reviewed this as thoroughly as Charles has, then there probably is something lacking, and maybe it is just simply a list of goals and objectives that, and directives that we're making. The final comment I had on Chapter 2 is I agree with those who have testified on behalf of leaving the transfer language as it appeared in Chapter in the 5th draft. I think it's been adequately explained by the experts who deal with this on a regular basis that there are numerous controls already in place, and that we don't want to do anything to add to the complexity of doing something that we've stated is an important component in water management.
Okay, further comments, questions? Chapter 3.
You got us in 5 minutes early.
Oh, I wish there were a way to guarantee the rest of it would be as fast.
We'll see.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Zlotnick.
Just a question. So we've completed, I guess, the discussion of Chapter 2. You've heard from us about a number of issues that we've sort of thrown to you. You've heard from your members on issues. I know you talked in the past about a board or something to put this stuff up. I don't see that. So, I mean, I guess what's the process for coming to closure on any of this stuff? Are you going to wait until the end? Or are you doing it chapter by chapter?
So the way I view what we're doing is we're going to take all of these comments and to the best of our ability develop a list of council recommendations. We'll go over our draft list tomorrow and talk about, okay, here's what direction we got. I am going to assume that if the council did not pick up on something that one of you said and it was important to you, but they just ignored it, that wasn't important to them, and that they didn't give me direction to change it. If it's something we think clarifies it, we'll probably work with you to to help clarify the issue. But we'll prepare a list, and then we'll have a more formal list before the next meeting so that everybody can see
2 weeks or tomorrow?
in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks.
Take a look at the draft suggested memo, which was passed out earlier this morning. The staff is going to suggest that tomorrow, at the end of the meeting, we tell them, return at our next meeting with proposed revised changes reflecting the following. And the first is the council action table. And that is a continuation of the actions we took at the last meeting where the council made a determination. Now, there are changes that are both stylistic and technical and so on, and the staff's undergoing those. But the council action table will be the start. Number two, the staff's open issues list is going to be probably resolved as we work through things. Now, hopefully you'll know by the next meeting, 2 weeks from now, your position on these staff open issues. And then third, the staff errata list is also the place where all of you will be carefully looking for editing, technical changes, and so on. So that's the process that would be done. And then the staff's also recommending that we essentially prepare the Delta plan with the editing changes as shown. Mr. Fiorini and I would look at the editing changes, not the policy changes the council has adopted prior to the meeting of June 28, 29. And then a rough cut of what the June 28th action would look like is outlined here. And that's about as good as we can give you, Greg. Okay. Mr. Ray.
And we are right on time.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Gray. I'm sorry.
I want to go back to the process with the vote.
Yep. Pull that mic toward you, please.
My impression was that we were going to hear from the panelists, and I know we're going chapter by chapter. Then the council would respond to each chapter based on what we've heard today. There will be no voting today, is that correct, on any part of the chapter? Because there's information that we're just receiving today and just hearing from the panelists. So I just want to make sure that this is the process.
No.
Chapter by chapter, panelists, and reaction from the council. Is that correct?
As we did last time, the council will, we can choose to direct staff to do one thing or another. And we are going to be asked to do it. Staff is specifically asking to help resolve the open issue items that are identified in this chart. There are other issues raised by the panelist, and if any member of the council wants to say, oh yeah, let's do that or not do that, that's fine with me. It's okay. But the staff is asking us to take action on the open items so they know how to draft.
Now, action
The
is
next thing.
direction, is that what you're saying?
Pardon?
Direction to staff. That's the
Yes,
action.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
yes.
the clarification I needed.
Okay.
Direction to the staff.
Got it.
Not voting on anything.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.